Everybody's Doing It Now. Photoplay, October 1925. You have never really danced until you have learned the fascinating rhythm of the Charleston. Here's a lesson by Hollywood's champion. It took place at a party given recently by Mr. and Mrs. Rudolph Valentino, the Great Charleston Contest of Hollywood. The two contestants were Ann Pennington and Bessie Love. Now, Ann is the undisputed champion of the stage, and her fame had spread before her to Hollywood. However, Hollywood backed its own Bessie Love, and the movie colony votes that Bessie has a slight shade of advantage on Penny. When Photoplay heard of the contest, it asked Bessie to give its readers a few lessons in the intricacies of the steps. Bessie consented to pose for pictures, illustrating the most important steps. There are, however, many variations, but if you have mastered the principles of the dance, the rest will come easy. Number 1. Place arms on hips, bend body forward, and step forward with the knees stiff. Then give a double dip on each knee before taking the next step, and then on to number 2. Number 2. Swinging arms in opposite directions, body bent forward, point right foot forward. Then heel toe to side and back. Next, heel toe to front, changing to left foot and repeat. Number 3. Bend body forward, knees slightly bent, and place hands on knees while moving knees inward and outward. Alternate crossing arms with hands on knees in scissors fashion. Numbers 4, 5, and 6. With arms swung to opposite side, skip to right, pointing the toe. Swing body slightly back, raising the hands upward. Point right foot forward and point heel, bending the body far back with the hands extended, palms outward, above the head. Number 7. Start by repeating step number 2 and duplicate, with the exception of kicking forward from the knee only, instead of pointing forward with the toe. Numbers 8 and 9. This is a twist from front to back by placing the right foot forward over the left and swinging the body in complete half circle. Repeat with the left foot over the right, and swing back to front in position again for finish of the Charleston. A good finish to the dance is to point the right foot forward, extending the right arm to the side, and raising the left hand over the head with the palm outward. The Charleston is one of those things that, like a striking slang phrase, seems to come from nowhere, yet is instantly everywhere. It may be said, almost literally, to have broadcast itself. It just came naturally, like time or space, no beginning and, apparently, no end. It's hard to remember where and when you heard jazz music the first time, isn't it? Well, the Charleston is just like that. So new, and yet oh so universal. Maybe you came upon it first in a cabaret. Maybe you saw it at a theater. Maybe you had got tired a bit of stepping the old steps, and then one of your friends dragged you out of your shell and over to a ballroom floor, where the Charleston was giving everyone that peppy old dance thrill you used to enjoy with the old steps. Well, anyway, who cares? Especially the dancers. Everyone's doing it, everyone's enjoying it, and that's enough. The Charleston is the one big hit, the grand national performance. More people know the steps now than ever could sing the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. If you're one of those who have never danced before, you've got a treat in store for you. Don't try to do the dance fast at first. If you do, you'll get into difficulties. It is better, says Bessie, to go slow at first, and be sure to get the steps accurately. While the steps themselves aren't extremely difficult, the Charleston requires a lithe and active body, and it takes a little training. Incidentally, it is a good dance to learn if you want to reduce or keep in trim. The Charleston has given the studio orchestras something to do when they are not supplying music for the scenes. Above, on the opposite page, you see a picture of Anneke Nilsson and Shirley Mason doing their stuff between scenes. To their right is Ann Pennington, champion of the stage. All Hollywood is now spending its spare time mastering such steps as the Turkish, falling down stairs, and picking cherries. And it is also predicting that some musical comedy producer will sign up Bessie Love to do her Charleston in a New York review. A Real Land of Make-Believe. Photoplay, June 1929. The kiddies of the Universal lot have cathedrals and chariots as everyday playthings. The playhouse at the upper left? It was the Shelby Mansion, used in Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now the little girls of Universal City have it for a make-believe home. Here they are at tea, from Neola Spaulding, 16, to tiny Dolores Jordan, 2:30. The 18 Universal youngsters have a whole zoo to play in. Just above are some aboard Minnie. Jimmy Van Horn runs his own pony chariot race for some of the children at Universal City. Now kiddies, don't you run away to Hollywood because all these boys and girls at play have fun because their mamas or papas work for the film firm. Probably the Universal children have more fun than any kids in the world except our gang, who get paid for romping. Imagine the different contraptions they can find to play on in such a big studio. Here they are, all set to put out a conflagration. "Hey," yells Chief Bud Murphy, "if you can't find us a fire, start one." "Well," says Jimmy Van Horn, 11, to Violet Unzicker, 12, "it's too hot for polo. Let's go sledding." So they load up the old family toboggan with the other Universal kidlets, ramble over to the Swiss village on the lot, and slide on fake snow until overcome by the heat. School days at Universal City, where the studio's youngsters are taught the 3 R's and how to iris in and fade out. Jimmy Van Horn is stealing a lick at his all-day lollipop, and Winifred Spaulding is frantically flagging down teacher so she can tell. Tattletale, Winnie. Goodbye, kid. Meet John Leslie Coogan. Oh yes, he used to be known as Jackie, but not since he had his haircut. Photoplay, December 1926. Jackie's had his haircut. The kid of the Dutch bob, the rumpled cap, the baggy pants, the tattered shoes, is no more. But John Leslie Coogan, of the real man's haircut and big brown eyes, is here to stay. It took one barber, one pale mother, one agitated father, one perturbed press agent, one gurgling brother, and 11 news photographers to witness the event. Snip, snip went the scissors, click, click went the cameras, and Jackie's $1 million crown of glory fell to the tune of Goodbye Little Bangs, Goodbye. But the result? Jack Gilbert, Ronald Coleman, Richard Dix, and Ramon Navarro had better watch out. There's 4 feet 6 inches of potential screen sheikhood growing from a 12-year-old boy into a handsome man. The shearing took place 2 weeks before John Leslie Coogan's 12th birthday. A week later, John Leslie Coogan was enrolled as a cadet in the Urban Military Academy in Los Angeles, where he will train until someone comes along with a fine idea for a story, centered about a 12-year-old lad with mannish bob. He's too valuable, that $1 million boy, to be idle, even if he is in rigid training. And the school has promised to release Jackie whenever he wants to make a picture, provided he returns to them immediately it is completed. So the Rolls Royce is parked in the garage, and the restless publicity man twiddles his fingers, while Jackie shines his own shoes, and makes his own bed with all the other uniformed cadets, just as if he were an ordinary kid, and not the most famous small boy in the world. These Hollywood movie stars certainly lead a hard life. Photoplay, January 1925. Pity the poor, hard-working film stars. They are torn from home to go on location in the desert or frozen north. They must be at the studios at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they work until late at night. But when they play, they play. That's all. And what wonderful places they have to play in. Yes, it's a hard life the movie people lead. So does the Prince of Wales. Marion Davies gives a swimming party. Those present, left to right, are Norma Talmadge, Constance Talmadge, Jack Mulhall, Marion Davies, Sid Chaplin on Springboard, Mrs. Doris, Marion's mother, Mrs. Owens, Cena's mother, and Mrs. Lederer, Marion's niece. Buster Collier is in the pool. The children belong to Cena and her sister. Florence Fedor entertains at tennis. From left to right on the court are George Archambaud, her director, Mrs. Archambaud, Florence, and Conway Turrell. In the audience are Adela Rogers St. John's, Mrs. Bennett, Catherine Bennett, and Harry Gibbons. Helen Ferguson and Eddie Phillips are polite. They don't make a sound while Douglas MacLean tries for an 8-foot putt at the California Country Club. Charlie Ray puts a little pep into his swimming parties. He seems about ready to lambaste Ramsey Wallace with the water wings. Mrs. Wallace, unconscious of her husband's danger, is just stepping into the pool, while Vivian Martin seems about ready to shove off with the automobile tire. Mrs. Ray is the woman at the left in the swing. Mitchell Liaison, C.B. DeMille's art director, is seated on the edge of the pool. Tennis starts with a tee, but tee follows the game at Priscilla Dean's home. Left to right, standing, are Alec Bennett, brother of Enid, Ben Lyon, Wheeler Oakman, Robert Ellis, Judgy Johnson, and David Backus. Seated are Lieutenant Nelson, brother of Eric, one of the Around the World Flyers, Joseph Diskay, Hungarian tenor, Mrs. C.C. Mosley, Priscilla pouring the tea, Noreen Johnson with Chuck Emery on arm of her chair, Lieutenant C.C. Mosley with cigarette in hand. After the battle on the tennis courts, the boys and girls engage in a tea fight at Florence Vidor's home. From left to right, Harry Gibbons, brother of Cedric Gibbons, Florence Vidor, Conway Turrell, Kath Bennett and Mrs. Bennett, sister and mother of Enid, Mr. and Mrs. George Archambaud. The Santa Monica Swimming Club is popular with the film colony. In the sand chair is Helen Chadwick. To her left is Brian Washburn, who has taken his news mustache out for a swim along with Viola Donna and Shirley Mason, who both wear the same kind of a hat, not because it's cheaper, but because they like them. Playing tennis are Wheeler Oakman, Ben Lyon, and Robert Ellis. Others are Mrs. Johnson, Priscilla Dean, Mrs. C.C. Mosley, Joseph Kiskey, David Backus, Noreen Johnson, Chuck Emery, skip the next two, and you reach Lieutenant C.C. Mosley and Lieutenant Nelson. In the pool are Judgy Johnson and Alec Bennett.